Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of this podcast, Upfront and Personal. Here is your host Ananya, all set to become all upfront and personal with each and every one of you. Hi, you guys. I hope you and your families are safe, healthy, and are taking care of your physical as well as your mental health. I hope you all are wearing double mask while going out. I hope no matter how hopeless or no matter how difficult the situation is, I hope there is no peril on your family, and any crisis, any situation that you are in, I hope you are coming out of it stronger and better. Guys, I didn't want to do this episode on a COVID based topic because that's what I have been doing for the past 2 weeks, because I honestly found myself incapable of talking about anything else, anything other than COVID. But I was like, no, I'm going to talk about something else, something fun. And there is nothing more fun than to me than personal finances. And I love money. I love holding on to money. I love being smart with my money. And since I started earning, I have taken not only my financial independence, but the responsibilities that comes with you starting earning and you controlling your own finances. I've taken this responsibility extremely seriously. I have not taken being financially independent in a very frivolous or a joy-like manner in which I can just go and uh, spend my money on whatever I want. I've never seen money like that, and I honestly never thought about money and spending habits, and what kind of things that you need to spend on, what kind of things you don't have to spend on. I've never thought about my financial decisions as much as I did after getting my first salary. And it happens, when you start earning, you become more cautious about money. The idea and the concept of money changes in your head. It doesn't matter if you come from a middle class family or if you come from a really like upper class family where you're just richy rich. I No matter what, your own money, the money that you make from your labor, your talent, your education, is something else. It hits differently, and I think you become more possessive or more exploitative, no matter what kind of path that you choose to take with your money, with your own money. And I think it definitely changes your attitude for better or for worse towards money. That's why I decided to come here and talk to all of you about 10 things or 10 ways in which we spend money or waste money without even thinking that we are wasting money. Usually, for example, for you to waste money would be buying a really expensive pair of shoes, buying a really expensive shirt that you didn't need, buying things that you didn't need. And also, if you, for example, if you drop your wallet somewhere, then that money is wasted, things like that. And going to a trip that was an absolute disaster, you feel like that was not worth it, quote unquote. And whenever we talk about wasting money, I feel like these are the departments that we think about. But let me give you a very shocking news, you guys. Money can be a little sneaky thing. It can go out of your fingers, get out of your pockets, get out of your wallet, get out of your handbag without you even knowing, without you even understanding that this thing, whatever I've bought, which I think is a good decision, is actually a waste of money. And I'm not saying that I'm going to come here and question your personal choices and be like, why do you need 5 handbags? Your fifth handbag or your fourth handbag was a waste. Not anything so subjective. I'm going to come here and talk to all of you about wasting money and the concept of it in a very objective manner. Let's get started. So the first thing that I feel like we don't really pay attention to is subscriptions. We all have done it, let's face it, that we have put a card down for these subscriptions because they were paying like 1 month free or something. And we wanted to watch like one show or one movie on that particular OTT platform. And we were like, fine, we'll put a card on it, and 1 month free trial that particular OTT platform is offering us. We'll take it, and then we forget about it. We'll just, on the 30th day, we will just take it out. That's all. But do you take it out? There are a lot of people I have met who forget that they have put their card down, and only when on the first of another month they get a bill because Netflix charges automatically. You feel like, oh, this thing is getting cut from my account. Like I got charged for another month. next month, first of the next month, I'm going to go and cancel this. Then you forget because there is a difference of a month, and then you again get charged for a month, and the cycle continues. And we feel like canceling subscriptions is a chore. It's not. It will take you 5 minutes, but we still keep on doing it, and then we get sort of used to it. I remember, there was a friend, and I I made him download YouTube, that YouTube Premium thing, whatever it's called, right? Uh, and I don't know, I thought that there was something that was on YouTube Premium, but it actually was not, and I got confused. And that person is like, oh, but this costed me money. I'm like, how is it costing you money? The first month is free, or maybe whatever. I'll give you money or whatever. And then he's like, no, it is free, but now I will like it so much. Now I'll be able to minimize YouTube and everything. Now I'll get a habit of it, and now I would not like to go back and cancel it. And people do that. This is human mentality, to get used to a luxury, get used to a privilege, and then hold on to it without even thinking that we were living absolutely fine before this. So yeah, it does happen, and I think we waste a lot of money in this because we don't really take a time to understand and critically analyze if we want to continue with the subscription or not. Also, with subscriptions, there is one more thing. We take a subscription for one movie, for one show, for one particular thing that you want to watch, and honestly, no matter how inexpensive that subscription is, if you just want to use it for one show or one movie, it's not worth it. Ask your friends about, it's not a shame. Ask your friends, ask your family members if anyone else has a subscription like that. You take the subscription and you watch the movie. They have already paid for it. They would not mind if you watch a show or a movie. No matter if you watch that show or movie, they still have to pay that much money only, and in most of the cases they must have already paid off their subscription. So it doesn't make a sense, right? So you go and you ask the subscription if it's only one piece of content that you wish to watch. So yeah, be very, very careful about subscriptions. They can be very, very sneaky. Second thing, not returning things. Please raise your hands if you have ordered something very quirky and very, very something, which you found very fascinating, especially online, and you thought that, listen, if I don't like it, I'll return it. And then what happens? You never return it. You hate it, you dislike it, and then forget about it. Then you're like, I'll return it. The grace period is over. The thing is just lying around in your house like a liability. And the money is gone. It's very, very important for you to return things if you don't like them. Or else do your complete due diligence, do your complete work over making a choice on when you have to go buy one thing. And I'm sure it can happen more frequently, and it can happen with more frequency when it's an offline shopping scenario, because then you have to go all the way to the store to return something. No, I'm not talking about these times, but whenever you buy anything in the normal times, the pre-corona, or the post-corona times for that matter, if they exist, then you always try, especially if it's a cloth or a shoe or anything that you can try on. Try it out. Try to do all due diligence in the store so that you don't really have to come back and then figure out that this is faulty, and then you become lazy and you never go back to return it, and hence that thing lies around in your house like a furniture, and it never gets used, and your money is down the drain. It's extremely important for us to keep a track of our returns. Also, one thing that happened with me, I'm very good with returns. I return things left, right, and center. I have not shopped in an offline store for about a year now. So I buy whatever I want from online stores. And I always return things. I always replace things. I always ask for a refund or stuff like that. Like it's very, very important for me to get my money back if I'm not going to use that thing. But what happened was, there was only one thing in the past 2 years that I could not return, and it got wasted. I bought it from a random Instagram store, okay? Be very careful. Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, these are reputed e-commerce platforms. They have a very nice return period. But what happened with me was, this Instagram store said that you have to mail us. You have to mail us within 48 hours or like within 24 hours, something like that, of receiving the product. that this product is faulty, and only then your return will go ahead. And I was a little late. I think I was 6 or 7 hours late. And they didn't accept my return. Dear God. That thing cost me only $200, which was fine. But whenever I look at it, it is of no use. It's broken. And I can't use it in any which way possible. And I hate it. I completely hate it, because that, even though it's just 200 rupees, it's money I wasted, and I hate it. So whenever you buy things from Instagram stores, not very reputed sites, and even on reputed sites, see if a return is available, see if a replacement is available. And even, for things like that you cannot return, but they come in a damaged quality, always talk to the customer care and see if you can get a refund. Be very careful about that. Don't laze around in that department. Third thing, impulse shopping. Now, you guys, be honest with me, all right? Those days when you are PMSing like crazy, when you have just gotten a breakup text, when your boss has just yelled at you, when you have just gotten in a tiff with a coworker or a friend or a parents or anything like that, when nothing is going around and you are just, having a crappy day generally, somehow, automatically, your fingers crawl to the side of your phone where there are shopping apps. And then you click on it and you buy things that you regret instantly, but then you don't cancel them, and then they arrive, and then, going back to point number 2, you never return them. And hence you end up wasting a lot of money. Impulse shopping is something that I completely stay away from. I'll tell you, I just ordered a sanitizer because the sanitizer in my house got over, and we need sanitizer more than ever right now. It's a standard sanitizer of a reputed brand. I didn't have to do any due diligence, nothing of that sort. Just have to go and buy it. I still took 2 days to buy it. It's a problem. But I like to marinate things in my cart. I hate impulse shopping, and I know nobody does impulse shopping intentionally. But I'm completely against it because I've recognized that I am prone to doing that. I love shopping and I love seeing things online and just buying it on a click. It's so easy. But I'm trying to be very, very averse from that and away from that. And I like to marinate things in my shopping cart for as long as I can. And think about it. Take my time with it. And when you put things in your cart or your wish list and you think about it and you take your time with it, half of those things you never end up buying. Because literally, right now I'm telling you, go and you put 3 things, whatever you find fascinating, in your wish list. Come back a week later, you would not find them fascinating, or you would not find a utility for it. I'm telling you to do that. Just do that. But don't pause on the podcast for that. Just do that. By the way, if you want to know more about impulse shopping, and if you feel like you have a problem with impulse shopping, or you might have a shopping addiction, I have done a podcast before on how to control or how to curb shopping addiction, or how to, just keep bad shopping habits at bay. You can check that out. The fourth one is hoarding stuff. Yes, we are all bona fide hoarders, my friend. Please don't lie to me. You have hoarded, I have hoarded, everyone has hoarded. Especially in times of COVID-19 pandemic, it's very, very bad to hoard stuff, because then it just screws up with the entire demand supply cycle, and you shouldn't do that. There is the panic hoarding. Remember, people were hoarding toilet papers and masks and sanitizers and stuff like that. It's very bad. Yes, don't hoard because of panic, but also what happens is sometimes we hoard stuff, right? And we are like, we'll stock a kitchen pantry, and instead of getting 1 toothpaste, I'll get toothpaste for the next 3 years, something like that. And then that toothpaste or that particular thing gets expired, and you never get around to using them. Whenever we are hoarding, I feel like mentally or emotionally we go into this cycle of just grabbing things and getting into a cart, whether online or offline, and just paying for it. We never almost check the expiry rate of it, and we hoard stuff, and we keep on hoarding stuff more than what we need, more than our household needs. And we have a full stock pantry, and there is no use of it, and these things are going to get expired because there is no use of it eventually, or you'll before you run out of that stuff, the stuff that you feel like would be used in the next months, that stuff has said goodbye to you because it has expired. So I think hoarding is really a waste of money. I never hoard. And especially, we tend to hoard with respect to our household needs, with respect to our pantry and our household supplies and stuff like that. Don't do that. uh, Especially, whenever it's fine if you go and buy a bigger bottle if you think that you're going to use it for a really long time, and then that's it. That is it. Use it for a couple of months, and when that will get over, get another one. In fact, I have decided that whenever a thing gets over to about its 3/4, then I'm going to go replace it. I'm going to buy a bigger size if I feel like it's something that I use every day. For example, phenyl, for example, body wash, for example, toothpaste. And when 3/4 of it is over, I'm going to go buy another one, or I'm going to go place order for another one. I'm not going to hoard stuff. It's just a lot of mess. That takes me to my next point, which is that we forget what we have. When you hoard, and hoard, you feel very happy. But then you take 6 months to go back to your completely stocked pantry. Till then, your life has changed. In every 6 months, our life is changing. We all know that. And then we forget that we actually hoarded this. And then we go very joyfully and buy another one, hoard again, place another order, and hence waste money. That is why I say don't hoard, because you will forget by the time the turn of all of that next stuff comes up that you have hoarded. And what will happen? I actually said what will happen. You're going to buy again, you're going to hoard again, and you're going to waste your money again. The next one is not waiting for sales. Now, no matter how rich you are, no matter if you're not someone who comes from a middle class background, no matter if you're just to a level of richness that I can't even imagine, you are Bill Gates, whatever, but still you should wait for sales. Saving money is always fun. What do you mean? See, my logic is that if I paid $100 and you paid 200, you lost. Even if you don't know that there was a game that was existing between us, there was a game that was existing between us, and you just lost and I just won. Sorry if it became too aggressive for you, but honestly, you guys, I know waiting for sales, getting coupons, waiting for offers, asking your friends if you have a coupon code for this thing, especially when you're making bigger purchases, right? It's exhausting. I know it requires more diligence. I know it requires more investigation, more hard work, more effort. But it's all of it is worth it, because at the end of it, you're going to save money. Now, I'm not going to tell you ki, please, you bargain with a vendor for 2 hours for like 2 rupees. I'm not going to these extreme ends, but I'll just give you an example. So we just bought an AC, and we bought it in the month of April. So it became very, it was to the highest price possible, because April, May, these are the times where a tropical country is really, really hot. This is the time when we get our summers, and this is the time when people would be buying ACs. So what we should have done is we should have gotten an AC in February or by the beginning of March, which is wise to do. Yes, if it's not impacting your decision, if you feel like, companies don't put up their best ACs online or in the shops in those months, then of course it's wise for you to wait for the month to come. But if there is no shortage like that, if you feel like there is no other logistic or any kind of difficulty that you're going to face by ordering it in an off month, then please go ahead and buy it. And please understand, please put your logic into understanding what season is going on, what sale is going on. Like, I'll wait for 15 days to buy it if it's not absolutely necessary for you to buy it. Weigh your options as to whether the kind of money that I will potentially be saving for while, waiting for the sales, is it worth it? You figure it out, you weigh it out in your own mind according to the kind of financial standpoint that you have, and then see if you want to do that and save your money or not. But if you're not at all thinking about sales, if you're making a bigger purchase, even not even considering going to other websites, looking for coupon codes, looking for sales, then I'm going to tell you, you are pushing your money down the drain. I'm sorry to be like that, but you are. Let's move on. The next point is eating a lot. So, no, sorry, not eating a lot, eat whatever you want to, eating out a lot. So I understand that in these days we have controlled and we have almost neglected going out and eating out and partying and stuff like that. I mean, I hope you're doing that. But even in the normal times, right? I think people eat out a lot more times than they should. Because what happens is we all have seen friends. They are ordering pizza every night. We have all seen Devil Wears Prada. She always have, she starts her day with a coffee, and that coffee is never made in the office's kitchen or her kitchen or anything. It's brought by other people, and they're like, oh, this is a coffee which is like a Starbucks cup or whatever. So we have seen these kind of lifestyles. We have been sold these lifestyles, and we feel like, listen, we need to eat out because now we earn the money. And I'm sure you might have that kind of disposable income, but I'm not saying that you should blow it all, because then at the end of it, it's wastage of money. You can very well make your chai and coffee in your house. You can very well make your lunch and dinner in your house. You don't have to go out and get it. And another thing happens. Yes, the money gets wasted because obviously when you cook it inside your house, when you get the supplies, when you get the groceries and you cook it, it's definitely going to be 1,000 times cheaper. But there's also one thing. The charm of eating out, that gets delayed. Like, that fades away. For me, I have not eaten out in a year. So if I go out and eat, I would feel really amazing. Now, you don't have to wait for this long. I waited this long because of the pandemic. But if you eat out once or twice, like for example, you go for a Sunday breakfast, or you go for a Saturday dinner, or you go for a Friday dinner, you will look forward to those things. But if that's your normal dinner, if you always go to restaurants, or you always take a takeout, or you always order in, the charm will go. And the most scary thing is, your dependence on these kind of foods will increase. You would never be able to imagine your day like getting up and not ordering anything for 24 hours. So eat out less. Try and sit down and see how much you're eating out, and see if you want to make any changes in that department. Next one, going for bigger memberships, bigger sizes, bigger this, bigger that. Yes, my friend. So we always think, let's face it, that's the biggest marketing gimmick, and I think the most effective marketing gimmick that there is, that the larger size is a little bit expensive than the smaller size, but it's definitely so much less expensive if you have bought two smaller sizes. For example, 100 ml of a thing is going to be 200. So logically, 500 ml should be 1,000. But 500 ml is 400. And you're like, it does not make sense for me to go for 100. I'll just go for 500. Because again, it's so much cheaper than if I would have bought 500 ml stuff. Sit down and first ask yourself this question. Do you actually need 500 ml? Do you? Or would you be just fine with 100 ml? If you will be fine with 100 ml, then you don't really have to go on and buy a 500 ml because it's going to be cheaper, or just because it's a little bit expensive. With a little bit more money, I'll get the bigger size. Get whatever you have to. Assess your requirement. Whenever you are faced with that kind of dilemma, sit down and assess your requirement instead of just going ahead and impulsively making this purchase and hence wasting your money. Same applies with memberships, whether it's gym memberships and whatnot. If you think that you will only be able to go to gym for 3 months, but 3 months is 1,000 rupees and 6 months is 1,500, you feel like, I will go by 6 months logically, but do you need it? Will you go to gym for 6 months? Figure it out, you'll get the answer. Next thing is also very related to gym memberships. I have a lot to say about gym memberships and stuff like that. And even, these days there are a lot of online yoga classes, and Cult has started something. So, these things we take membership very, very easily. But they all have a trial period. So, first of all, try it out. First of all, see if that fits into your schedule. First of all, see if you like that kind of workout. Going ahead and buying that kind of membership, thinking that if I buy it, it will, give me a psychological effect on my mind, and I would, use reverse psychology to motivate myself or to compel myself to go to workout. Now listen, my friends, buying a gym membership. If you are buying a gym membership, I think it would be safe for me to assume that you have a large disposable income, or if you have the money to give it to a gym, you are well off. And that's why, even if you pay for it, that payment, which is a one-time thing, which has already been deducted from your account, whether you go to gym 5 days a week or 0 days a week, that kind of payment does not have the kind of strength or the kind of energy or the kind of compelling power that you imagine it to have for you to get out of the bed, put on your running shoes and go to gym. It will never compel you. You have to figure out if you want to go to the gym or you go to yoga and stuff like that, especially when it comes to the workout, anything that is in the workout space. Understand if you want to go do it in the first place, irrespective of the fact that you have made the payment. Otherwise, that payment will go down the drain and you'll never go. Just think about that episode with Chandler and Ross. He never goes to the gym, but still pays $50 for that every single month. Do you want to be that person? Figure it out. I'm not saying don't buy gym memberships at all. If it works for you, if you want to go to the gym, yes, please go ahead and buy it, invest it in your health. But don't think that just because you have made the payment, you'll be able to go. It's never going to work. Let me just give you this reality check, even before you go and waste your money. And next, and I think it's the final stuff. No, actually, it's 2 things are left. The 9th point is buying stuff for your future self. And I've spoken about this in another podcast where I said 10 things that I do not buy. I never buy. This is something that I have consciously told myself to not think about and not waste my money in. Don't buy clothes because you think you're going to be thin. Don't buy things which you not need. Right now, if I buy office going clothes and office going stuff, because maybe in 6 months I will go to the office. No, right now I don't need it. When I'll get an information that I have to join in a month, join in 2 weeks, then if I feel like buying anything, I'll go buy it. Otherwise, I'm not going to put my money into it. Absolutely not. Don't buy things. Like, I have seen people who have just gotten married and they're like, one day we'll have kids, and they go buy like kid stuff. And that never gets used because when there is a time of realistically using things, the charm of that thing, that has been sitting in your wardrobe for past 2 years, the charm has faded. Now you want to go buy another thing, and there's a huge probability you'll never touch that thing. So don't do that. In fact, even, I've seen a lot of people who just, it's on their first day of gym, okay? But they go buy all the accessories. So not only they're wasting their time and their money that they have spent on the gym membership, but also they are wasting the money in getting those accessories. First of all, figure out if you're going to stick to it. So yes, do not spend your money in your future self till that future self becomes completely decisive. Last thing is buying high maintenance things and not taking into account the maintenance cost and the maintenance factor of a thing while buying it. When we got the AC, I said to my father that, okay, this much the AC cost. And he's like, no, that's not the all of the cost. They will come and they will install and they'll charge you something. We'll have to buy maybe some parts. All of that cost will get factored. So that gave me an idea of putting this into this list. He was very, very right about it. Whenever you are making a decision of buying, especially when you're buying very, very expensive things, also please keep into account what kind of maintenance you will be paying for it. Because without maintenance, there is nothing. For example, if you're buying a very, very luxury car, Audi or stuff like that, also especially in India, please be ready for paying humongous amounts of maintenance, because even a small scratch on those luxury cars is going to wreak havoc on you. And I'm sure you'll be able to afford it if you can afford an Audi in the first place. But still, do you want to take up that big of a responsibility? Because not only paying for a maintenance would be a financial cost on you, but also it's a huge strain, right? Because once you pay for maintenance, you're like, oh, the maintenance is really expensive, and I never thought that this will cost that much for maintaining this expensive thing. So what will happen? A paranoia will set in you, and what you'll do? You will keep on trying to protect that thing with all your might. And every machine, everything needs maintenance. That's a rule. No matter how much you protect it, it will need it. But that paranoia will set in and you will never be relaxed about that expensive thing. So, again, I'm not saying don't ever buy expensive things, but whenever you're making that decision, please also understand and keep in mind the factor that you will be obliged to maintain it, and a lot of money and effort will go into it. So then when you buy it, you will be completely conscious of the maintenance. It will not set a paranoia, and hence it will not amount to wastage in money. So you guys, that's what I had for today. That's the content. That's the personal finance advice that I come here and I be your grandmother and I tell you, listen, just because you have it in your bank account does not mean you have to spend it. And I hope you like spending this time with me and chit-chatting with me. I know it's a one-sided conversation, but if you have rules like that, if you think that you have ever wasted your money in frivolous things like that, whether in the list or outside the list, please message me and we will chat. Message me on Instagram. My Instagram is Ananya2893, ANENYA2893. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.